The Galactic peace station floated at the edge of two great empires, a shining circle of metal built to hold calm even when the universe outside burned with tension. It was a place where rules mattered more than rank, and where every guest, no matter how important, had to follow the same system. The station believed that shared spaces created understanding. Because of this rule, a strange order was written on the duty board on a quiet day. A human guard named Aaron and an alien princess named Lena from the Crystal Realm were assigned to the same room during the ongoing war. Aaron was known for his steady nature. He rarely spoke more than needed. He trained every day to keep his mind and body controlled. His commanders trusted him because he stayed calm, even in dangerous situations. When he read the assignment, he showed no reaction. He only nodded and prepared for duty. Sharing a room with a princess from a rival realm was not something he expected, but he had accepted many unusual orders before. Lena, on the other hand, lived a life full of attention and pressure. As a princess of the Crystal Realm, she was raised to be sharp, graceful, and alert. She carried the responsibility of representing her people. She had come to the peace station to join diplomatic talks, but she did not expect to share her space with a human guard. She believed humans were loud, careless, and to direct. When she received the assignment, she felt confusion mixed with slight irritation, but she reminded herself that the station followed strict neutrality. She needed to respect the arrangement to protect her realm's interests. The room they were given was simple and clean. It had two small beds, a shared table, a control screen, and a window that showed the dark galaxy outside. When Aaron entered first, he placed his bag neatly in the corner. He looked around the room with calm eyes, noting the emergency exits and safety panels. He checked the air controls and scanned for any technical faults. When he was satisfied, he stood near his bed and waited for Lena to arrive. Lena walked in with quiet steps. Her eyes moved from the ceiling to the floor, studying every detail. Her clothes shimmered faintly with the crystal energy of her realm. When she saw Aaron, she expected him to greet her loudly or attempt some formal gesture. Instead, Aaron bowed his head once and spoke in a straightforward tone. He welcomed her to the room and said he would maintain his side without interfering with hers. His voice held no fear and no unnecessary pride. This surprised Lena. She had prepared herself for annoyance, but Aaron behaved like sharing a room with an alien princess was a normal part of his duty. She placed her small case on her bed and looked out the window. Outside, lights from passing ships moved through the darkness. The galaxy was quiet, but everyone knew the war beyond the station was not. The silence in the room grew thick, but it was not uncomfortable. Aaron took out a small cleaning cloth and polished his standard guard armor. Lena organized her documents and set her diplomatic tablet on the table. They did not speak, but they respected each other's space. Both understood that their empires did not trust each other. Both also understood that distrust could not control every moment. Later that evening, the station announced the schedule for the next day through a soft chime. Lena would join a diplomatic meeting. Aaron would begin his protection assignment for her team. When the announcement ended, Lena asked Aaron if he was familiar with the protocol of her realm. Aaron replied that he had studied it before her arrival. His answer was simple, yet it showed preparation. Lena felt a small shift inside her. She had expected a human guard to learn as little as possible about her people, but Aaron had taken time to study their customs. When night came, both prepared for rest. The room lights dimmed. For the first time, Lena realized how unusual the situation really was. A princess and a guard from two sides of a tense war sleeping in the same space without walls or guards between them. She wondered if it was safe. Aaron sensed her worry, even though she tried not to show it. He gave her reassurance in one quiet sentence. He said her safety was his duty and that he would stay alert even during rest. Lena did not reply, but she felt slightly more at ease. She lay in her bed and watched the stars through the window until sleep reached her. Aaron stayed awake a little longer. He checked the security screen one more time and scanned the hallway outside. Only when he was satisfied did he close his eyes. The next morning, Lena woke before the station lights rose. She sat up and saw something unexpected. Aaron was already awake, moving through slow martial exercises. His movements were balanced and controlled. There was no sound of impact or force. Every step looked more like a calm dance than a fight. Lena watched quietly, curious and confused. She always believed humans trained with loud energy, but Aaron's style looked peaceful. When he noticed she was awake, he stopped and gave a respectful nod. Lena asked him why he trained so early. Aaron explained that discipline kept the mind steady. He said that during war, a clear mind saved more lives than a quick weapon. His words were simple, but they carried weight. Lena felt something shift again. She began to see Aaron as more than a guard assigned to her. He was thoughtful, steady and careful in ways she did not expect from humans. They prepared for the day without argument. When they walked together to the meeting hall, some officers from the station watched them with surprise. A few whispered among themselves, wondering how a human and a crystal princess could share a room without conflict. Lena heard the whispers. Aaron heard them too. Neither reacted. They continued walking with calm steps. Later, during the meeting, Lena stood with confidence. Aaron stayed behind her as a protective presence. Diplomats discussed peace, trade routes, and war losses. The air felt heavy with distrust. Lena gave her reports clearly. When her turn ended, she stepped aside while Aaron guided her through the crowd. When they returned to their shared room, both felt the weight of the day. Lena looked at Aaron and thanked him for keeping situations smooth. Aaron replied that he only followed his duty. Yet there was a hint of warmth behind his steady tone. For the first time since the war began, Lena felt a small spark of peace. Aaron felt the same. They did not say it, but both understood that this strange assignment might be the start of something important. Something neither empire had expected. The second morning on the Galactic peace station began with a cool silver light that passed through the large window of the shared room. Lena woke to the soft hum of the station's engines and the faint glow of the distant stars. When she sat up, she noticed that Aaron was already awake again. He stood near his bed, checking the straps of his guard uniform. His movements were neat, steady, and methodical, as if he had practiced the same routine for years. Lena watched quietly for a moment. She wanted to understand how he maintained such calmness even in a time of war. It was rare to see someone carry so much discipline without forcing it. When Aaron turned and saw her awake, he greeted her with a respectful nod. Lena asked if he always woke this early. Aaron answered that he preferred to prepare before the station became busy. He said preparation helped avoid mistakes. His voice carried no pride. It was simply his way of living. Lena found this unusual in a human, but she also found it refreshing. They prepared for the day together. Lena arranged her documents for the morning meeting. Aaron cleaned his small communication device and checked the hallway with a quiet inspection. They moved in a smooth rhythm, each aware of the other without disrupting the other's space. When they left the room, the hallway was filled with soft station lights and the steady steps of diplomats and guards from different realms. Some people looked at Lena and Aaron with surprise. Very few had seen members of rival empires walk side by side with calm expressions. Lena ignored the curious looks. Aaron ignored them as well. At the entrance of the meeting hall, Aaron stood behind Lena but close enough to offer protection if needed. The hall was wide and filled with floating screens that displayed maps, trade paths, and diplomatic records. Representatives from many realms sat in arranged circles. Voices rose and fell as discussions began. Lena presented her report with confidence. She spoke about the need for safe travel routes and the importance of reducing border tension. Her words were clear, and she kept her tone neutral to avoid unnecessary conflict. Aaron watched her from behind. He noticed how steady she remained under pressure. She looked young, yet she carried the weight of her realm with surprising strength. After the meeting, an officer from the human side approached Aaron with a teasing smile. The officer made a light comment about how difficult it must be to share a room with a princess. Lena heard the remark, and her expression tightened. Aaron did not react emotionally. He simply replied that the assignment was part of his duty and that it was manageable. The officer walked away with laughter, but Lena stood quietly for a moment. When Aaron turned to her, he saw the disappointment in her eyes. She did not like being treated as if she were a burden. Aaron noticed this and assured her that he did not share the officer's view. He said she was respectful and clear in her work. The simple comment eased some of Lena's discomfort. They walked back to their room together. The station seemed peaceful, but there was a strange tension beneath the surface. Lights flickered for a moment as they passed a junction. Aaron paused to observe the panel. Lena asked if there was a problem. Aaron said it was likely a minor glitch, but he would report it to the engineers later. When they reached their room, Lena sat at the table to review her notes. Aaron took out his small pack and checked his tools again. The silence in the room was comfortable. It was no longer the awkward silence from the first day. It now felt like a steady quiet shared by two people beginning to understand each other. Later that afternoon, Lena asked Aaron how humans trained for diplomacy protection. Aaron explained that guards were taught to stay alert without appearing aggressive. They had to understand body language, movement patterns, and possible threats. But they also had to respect the space of the person they protected. Lena listened with interest. She realized that Aaron was not just a guard with strength. He was trained with great care and responsibility. Lena then shared how the Crystal Realm selected its diplomats. She explained that crystal energy allowed her people to sense emotional shifts, but they still needed discipline to control their reactions. She told Aaron that she practiced for years to stay calm during tense discussions. Aaron listened closely. He had never spoken with a crystal princess for this long, and her insight surprised him. In the evening, the station announced a general security check. All visitors were asked to remain in assigned rooms until the procedure ended. Aaron and Lena sat in their room, waiting. Through the window, they saw patrol drones move along the outer walls of the station. The lights dimmed slightly as power was redirected for scanning. Lena looked at Aaron and asked if these checks were common. Aaron explained that during war periods, the station preferred to check systems more often. He said it helped prevent misunderstandings. Lena nodded. She understood the need for caution, but she still felt uneasy. She did not like being trapped in uncertain situations. Aaron noticed her discomfort. He assured her that the station was well protected and that the check was just a routine step. His steady voice brought her some comfort. She felt grateful but did not know how to express it directly. Instead, she asked him to tell her about his home. Aaron described a quiet mountain region where he trained with other young guards. He told her about cold mornings, long hikes, and simple meals. His life sounded peaceful compared to the shining halls of the Crystal Realm. When the security announcement ended, they stepped outside to get fresh air from the station's open observation deck. The deck was wide and filled with visitors who wanted to look at the stars. The view stretched into the endless galaxy. Lines of blue and silver lights marked distant travel routes. Lena stood near the railing and took a deep breath. Aaron stood beside her, keeping a calm watch on her surroundings. Lena asked Aaron if he believed peace was possible. Aaron took a quiet moment before answering. He said peace was difficult, but not impossible. He believed peace could grow if people learned to understand each other, even in small ways. Lena looked at him and felt a strange warmth. For the first time, she felt that he understood the true weight of her mission. When they returned to their room that night, both carried a new sense of connection. It was not friendship yet, but it was a beginning. They still represented two different worlds, but their growing respect had created a small bridge between them. Both understood that this shared room assignment was no longer just a simple order. It was becoming something far more important. It was shaping how they saw each other, and it was shaping how they saw the war itself. The third day on the Galactic Peace Station began with a strange stillness. The usual hum of the engines felt softer than normal, and the corridor lights flickered with a faint pulse that was easy to miss. Aaron noticed the change when he stepped outside their room early in the morning. He stood still for a moment, listening carefully. The station felt calm, yet something underneath that calm seemed out of place. When he returned to the room, Lena was already awake. She sat at the small table reviewing her notes for the day. She looked focused, but Aaron could see a faint shadow under her eyes. The meetings were long, and the pressure on her was growing with each passing day. Aaron asked if she had slept well. Lena replied that she slept, but her dreams were unsettled. She felt that something on the station was changing. Aaron did not dismiss her worry. He explained the flickering lights he had seen earlier. Lena looked up with interest. She knew that the Crystal Realm used energy systems similar to the ones on the station, and she understood that such flickers were usually signs of interference. They left the room together to attend the morning meeting. The hallway was quieter than usual. Only a few guards and diplomats walked through the silver corridors. When they reached the main hall, Lena took her place with her diplomatic team while Aaron stayed behind her. The meeting began with routine reports, but halfway through, the screen at the center of the hall flickered. A loud crackle echoed across the chamber. The lights dimmed for a second, and then everything returned to normal. The diplomats exchanged confused looks. Some murmured to each other, wondering if a system fault was growing worse. Lena glanced back at Aaron. His stance had changed. He was alert, focused, and ready for anything. She knew that this change in him meant the situation was not simple. After the meeting ended, Aaron approached a station technician to ask about the glitch. The technician said they were experiencing irregular power shifts but did not know the cause. The shifts were small but spreading. Aaron thanked him and returned to Lena. Lena listened carefully. She felt a rising concern. A peace station during war was a place where even a small glitch could turn into a major threat. She suggested they visit the station archives to check the energy logs. Aaron agreed without hesitation. They walked to the lower deck where the archive units were located. The air felt cooler in that part of the station. The lights were dimmer, and only a few officers worked at their stations. Aaron requested access to the public energy log, and the officer in charge allowed them to review it. The log showed a pattern. Small power drops occurred in the same sections of the station nearly every night. The drops lasted only seconds, but they lined up with storage areas used by visiting traders. Lena tapped her finger lightly on the screen, thinking deeply. She knew that traders often carried devices that could disturb energy fields. If someone wanted to hide something, they could use small interference points to confuse the security system. Aaron suggested they look at recent visitor records. The officer provided the list, and Lena scanned through the names. A group of neutral traders from a distant realm appeared again and again in the same time frame as the energy drops. It was possible that they were innocent, but the timing was too precise to ignore. Before they could study further, an alarm rang across the deck. The warning lights turned yellow. A message spread through the speakers, asking all guests to return to their rooms for a temporary lockdown. Lena felt her heart race. Aaron immediately moved to her side and guided her toward the elevator. The hallway filled quickly with diplomats and guards rushing to their assigned rooms. Some looked confused, others worried. Aaron kept Lena close but did not show fear. His calm presence helped her stay steady. When they reached their room, the door sealed behind them with a soft sound. Lena stepped to the window and looked out. The outside of the station glowed with scanning lights. The patrol drones flew in fast circles, searching for problems. Lena turned to Aaron and asked if he thought the alarm was real or staged. Aaron answered that the station would not activate a lockdown without reason. Something had triggered the system. He believed it could be connected to the energy disturbances. They waited in silence for a few minutes. Then the lights flickered again for a moment. The room darkened before restoring to normal brightness. Lena felt a chill. She knew energy shifts were not supposed to reach living quarters. Erin opened the control screen on the wall and checked the diagnostics. A small alert flashed red. It reported unauthorized access attempts in 3 different areas. Someone was trying to break into restricted systems. Lena came closer to study the alert. The Crystal Realm used similar security systems, so she understood the danger. Unauthorized access during a diplomatic period could create confusion between the empires. If either side believed the other caused the breach, the peace talks could collapse. Erin suggested they report the alert immediately. Lena agreed. They contacted the station command center and shared what they saw. The officer on duty sounded tense. He said they were already tracking suspicious activity but needed more information. As they waited, the lockdown slowly lifted. The station announced that the threat was still being investigated, but guests could now move around their assigned sections. Lena and Erin stepped out carefully. The hallway was filled with quiet whispers. People spoke about sabotage, spy work, and possible attacks. No one knew the truth, but everyone felt the tension. Lena and Erin walked together to the nearest observation window. They stood side by side, looking at the dark galaxy beyond the station walls. Lena spoke softly, saying she feared someone was trying to break the fragile peace. Erin replied that he believed the same. He said that someone wanted both empires to blame each other. Lena looked at him with new clarity. She realized that Erin was more than a god. He understood political dangers as well as physical ones. She felt a growing trust in him that she could not explain fully. They returned to their room and continued studying the logs. They worked as a team. Lena used her diplomatic knowledge to interpret coded entries, while Erin used his guard training to identify security risks. Hours passed, but neither grew tired. The shadows in the station had become real, and both knew they needed to find the truth as the day ended. Lena looked at Erin and felt a strange sense of comfort. She knew she was not facing this danger alone. Erin felt the same. He understood that their assignment had changed. They were no longer just guard and princess. They were partners facing a threat that could shape the future of their worlds. Both knew that the shadows were only the beginning. The 4th day on the Galactic Peace Station began with a strong sense of urgency. Lena and Erin had spent most of the previous night studying logs and alerts. Both were tired, yet both were determined to uncover the truth behind the strange activity that had begun to spread through the station. The shadows were growing, and neither could ignore them any longer. When Erin opened the door in the morning, he noted that 2 guards were standing in the corridor. They were not from the human side and not from the Crystal Realm. They wore the gray armor of station neutrality and carried alert expressions. They looked as if they had been ordered to watch the hallway through the night. Erin nodded at them and asked if anything unusual had happened. One guard said there had been attempts to open sealed panels on the lower deck. The attempts failed, but the source was still unknown. The guard also added that the station command was increasing security patrols. Erin thanked him and returned to Lena, who stood near the table. Watching the small hologram of the energy log, Lena felt a knot of worry forming in her chest. She knew that if the wrong group manipulated energy systems, it could trigger dangerous misunderstandings between empires. She looked at Erin and said they must learn who was behind this before the peace meeting later in the day. Erin agreed. They had very little time. They decided to continue their investigation. By reviewing the traders who had visited the station during the past week, Lena accessed the diplomatic files while Erin reviewed the guard reports. Together, they narrowed down the list to a few groups who had entered the storage areas at the exact times the energy drops occurred. One group stood out, a small trade company known as the Farron Guild. They were registered as neutral, but their records were strangely thin. Their trade items were unusual too. They carried small energy crystals that were similar to the ones used in communication devices. They also requested access to areas that most traders did not need. Lena and Erin exchanged a look. The Farron Guild needed to be checked. They left their room and headed toward the central marketplace where traders often gathered. The marketplace was a wide hall filled with colorful booths, bright screens, and crates of goods from different galaxies. The air carried a mix of metallic scents and the soft hum of machinery. People moved with calm steps, unaware of the danger rising around them. Erin scanned the area. He spotted the Farron Guild stall in the corner. The stall looked simple. It held silver cases filled with crystals that glowed with faint light. 3 traders stood behind the stall. They wore long coats with a crest that looked unfamiliar. Their eyes moved quickly, as if they expected trouble. Lena stepped forward with calm confidence. She greeted them politely and asked about their goods. The traders explained that their crystals were for small devices. Their voices were smooth, but their eyes showed nervousness. Erin stood slightly behind Lena, observing every movement. He saw one trader shift his weight often, as if ready to run. Another trader seemed too eager to answer questions. Their behavior confirmed his suspicion. Lena asked if they had visited the lower storage deck recently. The traders hesitated. One said yes. Another quickly said no. The third avoided eye contact. Their mixed answers made Lena more certain that they were hiding something. She continued asking questions, keeping her tone calm. Erin watched their hands. When one trader reached toward a small device under the table, Aaron stepped closer. The trader froze. Aaron asked him slowly to place the device on the table. The trader obeyed with forced calm. Lena inspected the device. It was a small transmitter with unusual crystal wiring. It matched the pattern of interference that had been showing up on the station logs. Aaron asked the traders why they carried such a tool. The traders exchanged uneasy glances. Before they could answer, the station alarm sounded. A red light filled the hall. A message echoed through the speakers, announcing a new emergency alert. This time, the alert was not a false signal. The voice explained that the station detected an unauthorized signal from the lower deck, near the diplomatic storage zone. Aaron and Lena reacted instantly. Aaron secured the transmitter and handed it to a guard who had arrived in the hall. Lena stepped away from the traders as more guards approached to question them. Aaron told Lena they must reach the lower deck before more damage happened. They moved through the station quickly. The corridors flickered with red emergency lights. Guests stepped aside as the pair passed through. Their steps echoed against the metal floor, matching the rising rhythm of their concern. When they reached the lower deck, a group of guards was already there. They had sealed off the hallway. Aaron approached and asked for information. A guard explained that someone had placed a device near the communication panels. The device did not explode, but it sent a signal strong enough to disrupt communication lines for a few minutes. If it had lasted longer, it could have caused confusion among the diplomats. Lena felt a chill run through her. She knew what confusion meant. A broken message from one empire could be mistaken for a threat by another. Peace could crash in seconds. Aaron studied the floor and walls. He looked for traces left behind by whoever planted the device. He found small crystal dust on the floor. The dust matched the crystals sold by the Farron Guild. This confirmed the link. The guards began to search for the trader group, but Aaron told them that the traders in the marketplace were only the surface. Someone else was directing them. He believed the real target was the diplomatic meeting scheduled for later that day. Lena agreed. She realized that the device they found at the store was likely one of many. She needed to warn the council. Aaron insisted on going with her. Together, they rushed to the central hall. The council chamber was large and circular. Representatives from both empires were already seated. The atmosphere was tense. Lena walked to the center of the room and requested immediate attention. The council members looked at her with surprise. Aaron stood beside her, his expression firm. Lena explained the discovery of the device, the suspicious traders, and the pattern of energy shifts. She spoke with clear words, and the hall filled with a worried silence. Aaron then added that someone was trying to spark misunderstanding between empires. He explained that the devices were designed to disrupt communication and create false alarms. As the explanation continued, the council members looked at each other with growing concern. The human officers nodded. The Crystal Realm representatives listened closely. Neither side blamed the other. For the first time in many days, they shared the same fear. The council ordered immediate action. Guards were stationed across the station. The Farron Guild was detained for questioning. A full sweep of the lower deck began. When Lena and Aaron returned to their room later, both felt the weight of the day. Lena thanked Aaron for standing with her. Aaron thanked her for trusting him. They both knew the danger was not over, but they had taken an important step. The hidden hand behind the sabotage had been revealed, but they still needed to find the one controlling it, and both understood that the final test was coming soon. The final day of the mission arrived with a quiet weight that everyone on the station could feel. The halls that once echoed with rushing footsteps now felt slow and tense. The war was close to its turning point, and every choice mattered. Myra stood near the main balcony of the station, looking at the stars. She had always loved stars, but today she stared at them with a new understanding. She knew every star held people like her, people who wanted peace but were pushed by fear. The thought gave her a strange mix of sadness and strength. Aaron entered the balcony slowly. He did not want to disturb her thoughts, but she turned as soon as she sensed his presence. They shared a quiet smile, one that said more than words. The distance they once held between them was now replaced by trust. Aaron stood next to her and watched the stars too. He finally spoke. "You look ready," he said. Mira took a soft breath. "I want to be ready. I must be. If today fails, the war may continue for many years. I cannot let more worlds suffer." Aaron understood. He had spent his life on battlefields, but this mission felt different. This time he was protecting more than a side. He was protecting a future. He was protecting someone who changed the way he looked at everything. When the call came from the command center, they walked together. The leaders of both sides waited. A full council of humans and alien delegates filled the room. They all expected Myra to speak for her people and Aaron to serve as her guard. They did not yet know how important their bond had become. The room was silent. Every pair of eyes followed the princess as she stepped forward. She lifted her chin with quiet dignity. She spoke with clear strength that surprised even the older delegates. "My people and the human people have lived with fear for too long. I stand here not as royalty but as someone who has seen how fear hurts us. I lived with a human god. I worked beside him. I learned that we are not enemies. We are only strangers who never tried to understand each other." Some delegates murmured in surprise. Myra continued. We can stay strangers and let fear control us, or we can take a step toward peace and let the future change. The choice is ours. Aaron could see the effect her words had. Many delegates leaned forward as if something inside them shifted. He felt proud. He felt thankful he had been the one assigned to her room. A strange assignment had changed lives and now stood ready to change many more. But not all were convinced. A senior human commander stood up with a sharp gaze. Words are fine, princess, but trust is hard when wounds are fresh. How can we believe your people want peace when many battles still continue at the borders? Myra turned to him with calm eyes. Because I am here. Because I risked myself to speak with you directly. I would not be here if my people wished to continue destruction. They sent me because they believe peace is possible. Her voice stayed steady. No anger, no fear, only sincerity. Another alien delegate stood. His tone was not hostile but cautious. And what about the humans? Will they accept peace or see it as weakness? Aaron stepped forward for the first time. Myra looked at him in surprise but with gratitude. His voice was strong, trained from years of commanding soldiers. I have lived on the front lines. I have seen loss on both sides. I know warriors who wanted peace but never saw a path. Today we have a path. If we do not take it, the war will take more from both sides. Humans want safety, not endless battles. His words echoed in the chamber. Many in the room lowered their shoulders as if a heavy burden had been spoken aloud. A long silence followed. Finally, the human commander sat down. The alien delegate nodded, and slowly the room shifted from tension to possibility. The council spoke for hours. Every concern was voiced. Every question was answered. Myra and Aaron stayed united. Their calm presence guided the tone of the meeting. The two sides, who once entered the room with rigid mistrust, now looked at each other with something softer. The council requested a short break to prepare the final agreement. During the break, Myra and Aaron stepped outside into a quieter hall. Myra finally let out a breath she had been holding for hours. Do you think they will sign it? She asked. Aaron looked at her with gentle certainty. They will, because you gave them something they had forgotten. You gave them hope. Myra lowered her head slightly, touched by his words. I did not do it alone. Aaron smiled. No, you did not. They shared another quiet moment, the kind that made them feel like two people standing together in a world larger than both of them. Myra suddenly became thoughtful. Aaron, she said softly, when this is over, what will you do? He hesitated. He had never thought beyond the mission. He had never thought beyond orders and duties. But now he saw a future that did not need battles to define him. I do not know, he admitted honestly, but I know I want to choose my own path, for the first time. Myra smiled. Then I hope our paths do not go too far from each other. He felt warmth in her words, a warmth that stayed in his chest. Before he could answer, a messenger came running. The council is ready. They want both of you present. Together they returned to the council chamber. Delegates stood with solemn expressions. The lead human commander lifted the agreement. The alien ambassador stood beside him. In a calm voice, they announced the decision. We agreed to begin peace. The room erupted in quiet but deep relief. Some delegates closed their eyes. Others nodded to each other with respect. A sense of weight lifted from everyone. War was not over instantly, but the path to end it now existed. Myra felt her heart tremble with joy. Aaron watched her as she stood tall. She had fought without weapons, and she had changed the future. After the meeting ended, crowds outside the chamber cheered. Reporters tried to speak to the princess and Aaron, but the two walked past gently. They only wanted one thing: peaceful silence. They reached the balcony again. The stars looked brighter. The war no longer dimmed them. Myra looked at Aaron. Thank you for standing with me. Aaron shook his head. Thank you for showing me a new world. The station around them was still filled with noise and celebration, but in that balcony a new story began. A story of unity. A story that started in a small room shared by a human god and an alien princess during a galactic war. A story that proved understanding could change galaxies. Together they faced the stars. Together they stepped into a peaceful future.